Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, I want to just quickly introduce myself. So my name is Julie. I am a homeschooling mom of 5. My kids range in age from 6th grade down to my 3-year-old. I've been homeschooling since the start, since my oldest was in kindergarten. Today I have a little, I'm gonna call it a halfway point school year update. I am quite a bit past the halfway point. I'm definitely posting this video a bit later than I initially intended to, but I'm here today to give just a little update to how our school year is going. Like I said, I have 4 kids that I'm homeschooling, so they are 11, 9, 7, make that 8, 11, 9, 8, and 6. I cannot keep up with my kids' ages. Anyways, I'm gonna give a little update today on this school year. I brought some of our curriculum too that I'm just gonna kind of show you as I talk through it and just kind of give an update on this homeschooling year. I'm gonna kind of go through our day as I talk. So the way we start our school day is with our morning basket read aloud time. And so we start that morning basket time with our Bible curriculum. Now I will probably put some links down below to other videos. Like I have a video solely on our Bible curriculum for this year. So if you are curious about a more in-depth look in our Bible curriculum, I will share a link to that down below in my description box. But this Bible curriculum this year, I assembled myself just using all free printables that I found online. And so at the beginning of this book, I have our catechism. I also have a lot of printables on like books of the Old Testament and days of creation. And then I have a whole bunch of hymns that we've been learning through this year. And then I also have a bunch of Bible verses that we've been memorizing. So when we start our Bible time, we start by reading through the Psalms. So we've been doing this since the beginning of the school year. Every day we read a psalm together. So my kids each bring their Bible for Bible time and we go around and we read verse by verse through the psalm. I've been loving how simple that is as a start to our day. We just read the Bible, and I've mentioned this before, but I love this as an opportunity to listen to my older kids read because I don't hear them read often. They do read a lot, but it's not out loud where I can be hearing how they pronounce some of these words, especially some of the words right from the Bible. And so I can help them through that. And it's just a good way to kind of practice reading out loud. And then after we read our psalm, we get right into our Bible book. And it's just so simple this year, so open and go. I open it up and we go through our catechism, and even my 3-year-old has almost all of the answers in the catechism memorized. It's amazing how much they absorb at this age. So I'm so pleased with how this addition is going to our Bible time. We've also memorized, so far we've memorized the books of the Old Testament, the books of the New Testament, the days of creation. Currently we're working on learning the 10 Commandments. We've learned way over half of the hymns I have in our book and way over half of the Bible verses. So all that to say, I am just loving this curriculum that we're using. I would love to do the exact same thing again next year. I'm not quite sure how that will look and what else I can add for memorization, but we are just really, really loving our Bible time. So then after Bible time, we get into our read aloud. I also usually have some like board books and just easy stories in our morning basket that I can do with the younger ones, the younger 2 especially. I wouldn't say I do those every day, but it's nice just to have that time to read to them a bit as well. And then I have read aloud time with everybody. So we read through chapter books and novels. So far this year, I don't know if I'll be able to remember all the titles. I know that we read, I think it's called Best Family Ever by Karen Kingsbury. It's a kid's title. I love her adult fiction books, but they're Christian fiction. She has a book for kids as well. We read that. Oh, we read The Wild Robot Escapes. That was a good one. We also read a couple of different books at Christmas, but currently we are reading this one. It's called Rascal by Sterling North. We're close to the end of this one. It's about this boy. I believe it's a true story. I actually haven't looked into it, but it looks like it's a true story. I should have looked into that before I'm telling you guys, but it's about this boy around the time of World War I. he has a pet raccoon, and it's just a cute story. And then our next book that we're gonna read when we're done Rascal is Caddy Woodlawn's Family. We have read Caddy Woodlawn, the first book, in the past, and so I want to read this one. And then after this one, what I've been wanting to get to all year is we're getting into the Little House series. We just had a few other books that I wanted to get in there too, but I'm excited to reread with the kids the whole Little House series as well. So that's our read aloud time. And then after, you know, Bible, read aloud time, all that, I will say our schedule has changed a little bit, and I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end, but I'll just get into some of our other curriculum. So our core, like, main curriculum is the Gather Round curriculum. I've talked about this a whole bunch. You see it all the time if you watch our day in the life videos. You see a lot of this curriculum in action. So I encourage you to subscribe if you're curious more how our school days run and more of a peek into our curriculum. But we are doing the Gather Round units and just loving them. Like, we just love them. It has been such a great change to our homeschool when we added this curriculum to our days. So I have my teacher's book. The kids each have their own lesson activity book that they work through. So far this year we have done, I think I did a quarter update as well in the fall, but we did Canadian government, we did the North America unit, we did the Christmas around the world unit, which I really enjoyed, and now we are on to this one, the careers and trades. So this is my teacher's guide, and each of my kids has their own workbook at their own level. And each unit does have a little bit of a different look. So far I will say my favorite units have been the continent units. We've done North America, we're gonna do South America next, but last year we did Europe, we did Asia. I really enjoy the way that each lesson looks so different as you're studying a different country. But those continent units, I would say, you know, you're learning all the different subjects throughout the book, but it's definitely more geography heavy. And then of course you have your writing every day. You have your spelling and grammar. That's kind of in every lesson, but each unit has a little bit different of a focus. So some units, like we did space, was definitely a little bit more science focused. Each unit does have all these different subjects kind of interspersed. Did I say that word right? Interspersed, I think that's the word, into the unit. I have definitely talked a lot more about how this curriculum works and just more on what I like about this curriculum. So I'm not going to go into all of that today, but I will say we are enjoying careers and trades so far. We are only like 3 lessons in as I'm showing you this today. We are right near the beginning, but so far my kids have learned about resumes, how businesses run. They've learned about advertising. We've talked about different specific trades and careers, and even done a little fun activity, questionnaire type activity where we learned what each of the kids' strengths are and some of their interests, whether they are creative or they are adventurous or more of a leader. So that's just been a lot of fun. We are just like so happy with this Gather Round curriculum. I think especially working well for a large family, but yeah, we just really enjoy it. For math, we are doing the same thing we've done, since the beginning. So what we do for math is we do Math UC for kindergarten, grade 1 and grade 2, and then in grade 3 they switch over to teaching textbooks. So my oldest 3 are all doing teaching textbooks right now, and I am really enjoying that I only have one doing Math UC, my first grader, so I can just be right by her side helping her along the way as each of my older ones are on their devices doing their lessons on their computers, iPads and stuff. And if they need help, they can come and see me, but for the most part it is very independent, and we are happy with how that is going as well. Then another curriculum we have is the Handwriting Without Tears. Now this isn't necessarily necessary, that is not great grammar, but it's not necessary to add writing to Gather Round. There is a bit of writing in there, but I like to add this. So my kindergartner, she's in first grade. My first grader, she is using this printing book, the Handwriting Without Tears book, just a lot more practice with her writing. And then my older 3 are just working through cursive. And so my 3rd grader, this is his first year doing cursive, and so he is just learning. So there's like a sample a sample page of his. And then my oldest two are both using this book, another cursive handwriting book. Now, that being said, with this being part of our curriculum, we do not do it every day. We probably, my youngest does, my older ones will probably do it once or twice a week, but it's definitely not daily. It's if like maybe we only had a half lesson of Gather Round to complete, then I would say, okay, we have a little bit of extra time, let's do a writing page as well, but it's definitely not daily. There is a lot of writing already incorporated into their Gather Round lessons. But as far as Handwriting Without Tears goes, I love the big books, the big spaces, and it's just very clear what they're supposed to do, and we like it. And then the kids each have assigned reading every day. I am just about at the place where I want to be buying some more chapter books for the kids. They have lots, but they read quickly. They've read through all our books, some of them twice. I just think it's about time for me to buy some more. But so far what they've been reading, I have this series. I meant to bring it here. Some of them are like, as I speak, are reading them. But I have the Orphan Train Adventure books. These are books that I bought like for myself when I was probably 12 or 13, and so I had kept those, and the kids are reading through some of those books. They have also this year read a bunch of the 10 Boys Who Changed the World and 10 Girls Who Made a Difference books. We have quite a number of those stories. And then of course the Who Was books we really enjoy as well. But I definitely think, I think we're good for till the end of the school year, but I think through the summer I'll buy a bunch more assigned reading books for the kids to read next school year. If they're picking books during their own time, they do pick some good stories, but they'll also do a lot of cartoons and like graphic novels and like fairy books. And it's great when they're reading, but I like to give them some assigned reading for during our school days. For my oldest ones, the only other subject we have is, well, two subjects. We have typing and we have piano. So typing is going well. My oldest two are still just doing that on the computer. My third will start typing next year, but so far just the older two. And then my three oldest are all doing piano. Sometimes that's a little bit hard, just figuring out where to put it in our days. We have it on the schedule, like this is what time Elijah practices, this is what time Simeon practices, and this is what time Charity practices, but I teach them, and so that makes it a little bit tricky. Sometimes, when it's been about a week, I'm like, okay, it's time for a lesson, but maybe the time of their practice isn't a great time for me to do their lesson. So it's just me, okay, I need to do their lesson today. I need to make time to do their piano lesson, but that's going well. We also have music theory, and we've gotten to a pretty good routine with just once a week is theory day. And so each of the kids pull out their books and I help them through their music theory. And then for my first grader, she is still working on learning how to read. It's been, I guess, a little bit of a slow journey. She just turned 6, so she's still very young. I think she's very similar to my oldest and how he learned how to read. My second and third just caught on like so quick. Like I think I took for granted just how quickly and how easily they caught on to reading. My oldest, I was a little bit more like, oh my goodness, when it's your first, it's like, why aren't you catching on? And it can just get frustrating. And I knew at the time, back when he was kindergarten, first grade, I knew that everybody learns differently and that's fine, but it was still a little bit hard to like, okay, no, it's okay, it's okay. And of course he got it, and he reads great now and he loves reading. And I think with my fourth that I'm teaching to read now, she's catching on, I think, very similarly to how my oldest did. But being my fourth, I am like so laid back about it, and I'm like, that's fine, you'll get it, it'll click. And so it's just so different teaching your fourth than teaching your first child. But we are still working through Teach Your Child to Read in 100 Easy Lessons. We started this about halfway through kindergarten, and so it's just slowly working through it. I would say that we're at the point now where I'm like, it is really clicking. She will read through lines and she can read them, pretty quickly. She still stumbles in places, of course, but it just feels like it's really clicking now. Alongside this reading book, we don't do this every day. We probably do about half a lesson every day, and then random days we'll just not do it and I'll get some other reading help to do instead. So for instance, Bob books, some days we'll just take out a Bob book and read that. Sometimes, with the reading lessons, it can just start going fast. And so we just need to kind of stop and just review. And I'm really trying to just take a laid back approach with it. But if you as a parent are, you know, frustrated, and that doesn't help at all. So we're pretty laid back with it, but it's starting to click now. Another thing that we've been using, I have this little pouch with all of these little word dowel things. I don't know, I never know what to call these. Anytime I've shown them, I'm like, like word blocks, but they spin and they're just simple 3-letter words. But this has been a really good learning to read help. So we have one for each vowel with a whole bunch of words to read. And then I also just went online and just found some again, free printable sheets to work on with her. And so, like, you know, at one point I was like, we need to work on the ER sound. So I just printed up this sheet for her. And then we did this one on the AR sound. And then I also just have all these sight word lists that we've just kind of been going through. Well, we've actually really only done this one, but I have A, B, C, D, and E. So more to come still. I printed these up on cardstock. And so just extra reading help, extra reading practice to do. So that really sums up our curriculum. As far as like how our schedule is going, we always, like I said, start our morning with morning basket, Bible time, and then we have, for this whole school year, been going straight from that into gather round, and then the kids usually have a bit of a break, go outside and play, and then they come back in and do math before lunch, which was working quite well. But the only problem I had with that is that was the time that I needed to be devoting to Zara, my 6-year-old. But I was kind of like helping her, and then I'd be like, well, I have to be starting lunch at the same time, and then my 3-year-old's getting hungry, and just, it's always tricky when you have a number of kids to be really spending that one-on-one time with your child who needs it the most, which is often that kindergarten, 1st grade age. And so today, we just switched it up today. I think it's gonna work well, but like I said, today's our first day trying it. We went from morning basket time straight into math, because then I can just sit with Zara and just help her. So as the other kids did math, I did math with her, and I did writing with her, and I could just sit by her the whole time, maybe a couple of little interruptions, but mostly I could just focus on her. And we did her school time then, and then we had a break, and then to gather around. So just switched up our schedule a little bit. It's just, again, trying to find that time just to focus on Zara. But today that went well, so we're gonna try that out for a little while. So for the most part, I would say our school year is going very well. It is so different having my youngest be a 3-year-old. Like, it still sometimes can cause interruptions, but it's not nearly the same as the years I was homeschooling with a baby or with a 1.5-year-old who's just getting into trouble, that you always have to be watching and trying to divide your time between the not school-age kids and the school-age kids. But Wesley, my 3-year-old, is so good. He'll just sit with us and color, or he'll sit and play Play-Doh, or he'll go and play. He's just been such a good kid during our school days. So if I was gonna say something that is hard right now for our school days, I would say 2 things. So my first thing that I'm kind of struggling with is just making our days flow smoothly, finding the balance between being this strict, rushed, like always in a rush, trying to get the kids moving on to the next thing, a very scheduled person, like strict to our schedule, and being like a go with the flow mom. And I love that with homeschool, we can somewhat go with the flow. And with 1 or 2 kids, maybe that's easier to kind of just have a slower morning, start school late, and just kind of, you know, okay, let's do school now. And I can just envision it being a little bit more laid back. I find with 5 kids, like, we have to be structured. But then I don't want to be like so rigid structured that I'm like, let's go, it's time to be doing this next thing, and so strict on it. Yet we do kind of have to have this structure to our days as well. So it's just finding that balance. I try to get most of our school time done before lunch, and then after lunch we have reading and piano and stuff. But you know, I have this like chunk of time that I want to be working with YouTube stuff, and so I want to have school done before that time, but then again, not being like super strict. And I don't know, it's just kind of trying to find that balance. I'm just working through that every day. The other thing that I need to figure out right now, like it's just a current, how am I going to handle this, is that I love to have a morning break. Like midway through our morning, we have a little break. I love to send the kids outside, get some fresh air, but in the winter time, we're currently in the middle of winter, I'm just finding it takes a good 15 minutes to get all the kids like ready to go outside, and then again get all their winter stuff on when they come inside. So total, that's about 15 minutes. And then if they're outside for 15 minutes, that's a full half-hour break, but they often want to stay outside for longer than that, which is great. I love for them to have that outside time, but then by the time they come inside again, it's like almost lunchtime, and like, do we start the next subject, or do we just leave it till after lunch? Or should we just get rid of our morning break? I'm kind of leaning towards getting rid of our morning break and just powering through and doing all of our morning school, and then taking like a big long lunch break where we can have lunch and the kids can go outside for 45 minutes if they want to. I'm just kind of like thinking out loud as I say all this, because I'm just kind of thinking, how would this work best, you know, for our days? Those are the couple of things I'm kind of just working through. But I think, I mean, homeschool, like I've homeschooled for however many years now, 7 years now. And I mean, it's always changing, it's always evolving, and something that is working best one day or one semester might not be the way it works best the next year, right? So it's always changing, and that is just how it goes. But that is how our school year is going. It is going really well. If you're new here to my channel, I hope that you'll subscribe so you can see more of our large family life, more of our homeschooling days. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you stayed till the end, congratulations. I know this is a bit lengthy, but thank you for coming by and watching, and I will see you in my next video.